We spoke to the writer, director, and star of the brand new movie Suncoast. Check out our conversation with Laura Chinn and Nico Parker. First of all, Nico, you were so very good in this.
Thank you.
And I know the Sundance people have said it, but what really matters is, some random film critic from Malaysia said it. So that's real
That
affirmation
is
right
what
there.
really
That is what really matters.
Laura, my first question is for you. First of all, the movie is wonderful, but in the process of writing something like this, is it an utterly heartbreaking experience, or is Laura the artist able to maintain some distance from Laura the teenager, or is distance a bad thing?
It's a good question. I feel like the answer is both, Like I feel like in order to kind of bring up those old emotions and old feelings, you definitely have to remove the distance and let yourself figure out a way to share those emotions and get those emotions across. But I also think so many details were invented that I was able to compartmentalize and separate myself from it a little bit. I think if it's like so personal and you're so inside of it, it might be hard to come to work every day and keep people moving and motivated. So I think it was both. It's like how do you express vulnerability, but also understand that this character wasn't me. The details of this story weren't mine, and we're creating something that's different than that.
And what about you, Nico? Because yes, it's not Laura, but it kind of is as well. And when you take on such a role, how much of her are you trying to channel, if at all?
I don't think I was ever trying to emulate Laura or become her. I don't think anyone could be as fabulous as Laura, so I wouldn't even bother trying.
She's right.
But I wanted, and the way that I thought of it was that Laura and Doris are similar by experience, but not similar by nature. So I didn't want it to ever feel like I was doing a impersonation or interpretation of Laura. I wanted Doris to be her own thing and person. So I think the only kind of things that I came to you with would be more specific questions, as in to be dealing with grief, or what it's like to, I remember we spoke a bit about like what it's like to see someone after they've died, and that was really important to me, and those kind of questions, because I haven't experienced anything like that. So those specifics were things that I kind of seek you out for. But when it came to embodying the character, I tried to keep the two separate.
Can we talk about Doris, just the name? Because names have so much, I guess, power and influence in how an audience perceives something. And Doris is a beautiful name. As soon as it gets said on screen, there is this old soul conception that I have in my brain. Talk about the name Doris, Laura. Where did it come from? Was that always your intent?
Yeah, well, I liked this idea that this is a character who's surrounded by death, and I think the fact that her grandmother died the day she was born is such a what does that do to a person? What does that do when you're coming into the world and your parents are grieving immediately a big loss, and naming you after this person who died on this day. So I thought that the name was a symbol in so many ways, for the fact that she is an old soul, for the fact that she is wise beyond her years, and then also for this idea that she is just shrouded by death. She's sort of the Grim Reaper. And so
that is how I chose.
An adorable Grim Reaper. Yeah. It'd be amazing if you showed up at the end of everyone's life. They're like, looks different than I thought the Grim Reaper would look.
Just me and Woody there.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I know. I think I'd be like, I think heaven's going to be nice. But yeah, so that the name for that was all those symbols. But I didn't know anyone named Doris, or it just came out of that idea.
So when you tell a story like this, in that particular setting, let me tell you, I haven't heard the name Terry Schiavo in so long. Like, that was such a big story, even pre-Facebook. It made it all the way here to Malaysia, right? Wow. It was such a big story. But I think when you're telling that story, it's very easy to paint one side as being crazy or completely wrong. And I think the power of your movie lies in keeping those interactions as human as possible. Which is, of course, something that is completely lost in public discourse today.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could speak to the challenge of writing that balance, for lack of a better word.
No,
I hate the word balance, but you know what I mean.
I think it just comes from, that's how I see the world. I've always sort of seen the world in a way that is less binary and polarizing, than the media makes it out to be. I think that I've always seen human beings as human beings. I grew up in Florida, and Florida is a melting pot in terms of politically. You're going to have a friend who thinks totally differently than you about the world and about politics, but you see their humanity. They're your friend, and you see they're a human being, and you see that if they have some kind of fear-based belief, it's coming from fear, which is a universal emotion that we all have, And so I've always seen the world that way. So in writing these characters, it wasn't a challenge for me to tap into their humanity, but I wanted to figure out a way to get the audience to kind of come on that journey with me, for the audience to also see that these are all people and no one's evil, everyone's just kind of doing the best they can. And some people are making decisions out of love and some people are making decisions out of fear. So yeah, it was to me like a natural way of seeing the world that hopefully other people will come on board with.
They won't.
I've got like a minute left. Nico, wait, in this movie, I think you're playing alongside some amateurs, Laura Linney and Woody Harrelson. Like,
newcomers.
No names.
Where did you find that?
Newcomers. I mean, that must have been an absolute. I'm sure at home as well with mom and dad, you get a lot of advice thrown at you. But what was it like with Laura Linney and Woody Harrelson?
It was genuinely, to work alongside them felt like being at an acting masterclass every day. I was so fortunate to share so many scenes with them, but also big scenes. They were big and intense scenes, and it was amazing. They're both so talented. I mean, Laura just radiates humanity in everything she does. She could never not be real and genuine, and it's so interesting to watch up close. And I mean, Woody I would say this to you all the time, but to watch the camera turn on him, it's like sunshine. It just shines from his face. His eyes are just so blue, and he's so alive, and he's just like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was incredible to watch them. It's two incredibly talented people at the top of their game constantly, and it was really a beautiful thing to witness, and so annoying because I just like I'm like they're like fumbling my lines and they're just perfect every time.
No, you can't say that. This she's 17 years old and she just day one sits down with these actors and goes toe to toe with them. I mean, it was extraordinary. Our entire crew is like, how is this child doing this? So they're obviously amazing, but Nico held her own beyond.
I paid her to say this.
Congratulations, guys. I'm all out of time, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Just two things before I go. One, Laura, I was hoping for more Woody Laura things because I just wanted to see them against each other.
Yeah.
And then
too much
two,
goodness. No.
One of the best things in your film. I kept waiting for the rich kids to turn on Doris because I've seen that happen so many times and it doesn't.
I know.
And that, I think, was the emotional maturity I was looking for.
Yay.
And it was absolutely beautiful. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
My God, is there any conversation with you that is not like thoroughly depressing?
Check out Suncoast on Disney Plus Hotstar. Let us know what you think once you've seen the movie. Sound off in the comments. And thank you so much for watching.